I would love to have all the local World War II veterans on my life. Just think about it. These folks were born around World War I, grew up during the Depression and Prohibition, and then went to fight for us in Europe and Japan. What great stories they could share. What examples they are. What inspirations. Some of them and others are coming up on my life Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., Saturdays at 10 a.m. If you have any suggestions, please call us at the station. We'd love to hear from you. This is John Ochins. Join us on Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village councils, the municipal governments that control all the regulations and rules and ordinances out there that affect you.
Just remember, these are the people that you elected or the commissions and committees that they appoint. And even if you don't attend the meetings, they make those decisions that directly affect you anyhow. So that's why we're here.
And you know, I think it's probably a good idea if you do go to those meetings, because if you don't, the regulations and whatever they do in those meetings may come back to bite you, right?
Hopefully not in a very painful spot.
Okay, I understand that. Well, we're here to talk about meetings, so let's talk about the Addison Township meeting. First of all, Parks and Recs.
Addison Township Parks and Rec, an exciting little venture.
Actually, it's so much fun to watch these guys out there. I mean, there's not a lot of...
Parking and wrecking?
Not a lot of parking or wrecking, right. There's not a lot of real solid, what they call protocol in the meeting. I mean, it's
Robert's Rules of what?
Robert's Rules of what? They kind of carry it somewhat, but they use common sense in doing this meeting. It's really a fun thing to watch. And by the way, you folks can watch their meeting too by going to PEG Central, which would be on our website, www.occtv.org, and clicking on programs. And out there you'll find all these little thumb points, and you'll see the Addison Township meetings and other meetings too.
If you know when it occurred, the meetings are organized in reverse date order, so just plug through the various frames and you'll find it.
Yes. And as soon as you see us, change the channel. No.
Oh, no.
No, don't do that. Okay, so anyway, so the first thing they said is, well, let's talk about old business. Actually, they got things scrambled up a little bit as we went
How old is it?
I don't know. It was probably quite old.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, but the chairperson is Joe Schnur, and I'm trying to think of his name. It's Charlie, can't think of his last name, but really down-to-earth type common sense guy, and he's been with them for a long time. Pat Schnur serves on this board also. That would be Charlie's or Joe's
Charlie's
friend.
to wedge it there.
Joe's friend. I'm going to set Pat up with Charlie. Charlie, who knows what goes on in those meetings, but behind the scenes anyway. Anyway, so they said, let's talk
Robert's Rules are spinning.
It is spinning, right? We're spinning some tales here. They said that the new trail on a West Trail was going to be for the Watershed West, that they needed to be completed at some point, let alone started.
Is this a gravel trail or a paved trail?
No, it's going to be just a trail that they're going to clear that allow people, to go through Watershed West, the park area.
So they go through the undergrowth with machetes, cutting away?
Yeah, I'm trying to
something
think.
else, probably.
It's going to go to Howard Lake, I think, somewhere in that area.
All right.
But here's the problem. They said, pretty hard to get in there right now. There's a lot of water. They said, well, there are some dry spots that we can get around, but, we're going to have to go out there and take a
trail will
look
be a
at
little
it.
bit more crooked.
Right. So anyway, it was agreed that they'll wait until a little while, and then they'll go out probably next week or the following week and check it out.
Actually, if they steer around the water now, it's probably going to lay down a pretty good trail if it comes back up again.
Right. If they avoid the quicksand, it should work out just fine for them to get through it. We'll spread a rumor they have quicksand. No.
Good.
No. If they did have quicksand, they probably have a sign there. Watch out for the quicksand.
What's the bottom of that sign say? At your own risk.
Right. And you know what? There's always somebody they'll look at and say, quicksand. I wonder how quick it is. So they'll get in there. And so then they have to bring in rangers. By the way,
it takes a pretty slow person to jump into quicksand.
It does. But it really sucks, I know that. But anyway, they said that they need rangers out there yet, and they're looking at probably about 20 rangers or so, and I think they have 17. They did appoint a new ranger later on in this meeting. Join. I'll let you know who that person is as we go along. Bruce Pearson gave a report. He's the supervisor of of Edison Township, and his report was that hey, you guys want a new tractor? We need to get moving on that. We have the allocation for it, and he said we have
This money coming from the township.
coming from the township. The money is in the township funds, and he said that the 3 bids have come in, and want to know if each of the board members had reviewed, those bids as to which one they wanted to go with. And they said that they're still reviewing them yet, and they would get back with the township and let them know, which particular group that they were going to accept here.
Well,
which
they know what
company.
they need.
They do. And like Bruce said, well, you're going to want a brush hog on it, right? And they said, yeah, we're going to brush hog. And they said 4-wheel drive. Going to want 4-wheel drive. And they said, I think a 2-point hitch, and they said, what about a blade on the back, to grade?
Oh.
And they said, well, we can always add that blade later. We don't have to do it now. But anyway, it looks like that tractor is going to be a real thing coming in. It's going to be some price somewhere around, I believe, $7,000 in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So anyway,
Tractor on the way.
they said, well, okay, we got a tractor coming. What about storage? Where are we going to put it? They said, well, let's put it in the barn, located at Lake George. They said, well, we're going to move a building over to, I think, Watershed East or West, West, I think it was, and they're going to move a building over there next to the school. I think that's Watershed East. And he said, well, first we have to lay a
We
cement
should
pad
have a map
down.
when we talk about these things. I haven't got a clue what
They're all
you're
over the
talking
place.
about.
And that's the whole objective, folks, is keep him in the dark. Because if he ever finds out where these places are,
You're in trouble.
the bears will never be safe again out in the neck of the woods.
The chipmunks will overrun them.
Chipmunks are overrun because what he'll do is do a swap out. I have 6 chipmunks for 1 bear. Good deal. He has overrun with chipmunks.
Somehow
at
I
his
don't
place.
think that would fit in our neighborhood.
Right. Well, they said we need to also explore this dock that we're talking about putting, at
Oh, is that the
George Lake.
handicap available dock?
Yep. And Bruce Pearson said, I don't think we need to go as big a dock as what we were anticipating, and we won't have to spend as much money as what we thought we would, but we do have an allocation of funds of $15,000 that was donated by the oil pipeline company that came through here, Enbridge.
Enbridge, right.
Yep. So that's a good thing. It'll save them some
Enbridge
money.
laid a big safety path themselves, you know that?
They
Have
did
you ever
do that.
seen that thing?
Oh yeah, quite a swath through there. Yeah, no question about it. So anyway, they said they also need a light at Watershed East, and that's where the building will eventually be moved. That will
Did you say a light?
a light above the area to lighten it
for
up.
security.
Yep, it's dark out there. Bears can't find their way around, so they want to put a light up there. And then they discussed what kind of a pole they're going to put in. They said we should put
A pole for the light.
a pole for the light.
Well, I didn't assume it wasn't going to be on the ground.
Right. So they said, well, we could go with metal pole, and I think it was Joe Schnur that said, well, I think Bruce has access to some free poles. And Bruce says, yeah, we can check into that and see if they have aluminum pole or galvanized. He said that we could run this. And there was an electrician there, and he said, well, if it's galvanized or metal, he said, we can run the electrical up through the middle of it. Otherwise, if it's going to be a wooden pole of some kind, then you have to go with a U-channel of some type to
Right.
cover it up.
Sort of tacked on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Keep the chipmunks from ripping it off.
Well, as long as, they have to be careful that, there's some metals and stuff that corrode at the bottom. I've seen
Oh, yeah.
some of the Oxford lampposts go
Right. Well,
south for that.
that could be from taking a beating from the lawnmower and so forth around it too, or the weed whacker, or
Or the
whatever,
tractor.
Or the tractor, yeah, could do that. And this tractor is going to be pretty powerful, so they run to this, the pole will probably go too. They then talked about Perch Pond.
Perch pond.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
They said, let's put some fish in there. It's that time of
Again?
the year. Yeah, they said they checked the minnows, and the minnows did survive the winter, and they're doing really well. And they said, so let's now go forward and get
Something in that can eat them.
yeah, let's get something in there that can eat them. And let's establish a budget to do that. And they said, okay, we can do that. And we'll talk about that when we come back right after this about the perch.
You're watching Oxford Community Television, serving Addison and Oxford Townships, keeping it local.
I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about the Addison Township Parks and Recreation Board. And we were just talking about Perch Lake.
Perch Lake or Perch Pond?
Close enough.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've just expanded that thing.
Well, I keep trying to make it bigger, because they're going to add some fish now. And they're going to get the fish, I guess, from Imlay City Fishery.
Now, you have to realize they've got little fish that have lived through the winter.
Yes.
Now they're going to get bigger fish that will, perhaps
Devour
eat
them.
the little fish.
So little fish are going to learn, hey, what happened here? Here's comes something.
Thereby
I'm going to become
establishing
dinner.
a food chain.
Right. So anyway, so they said, well, what kind of fish should we put in here anyway? And they said, well, we could go with bluegills. because
Bluegills are small.
It doesn't have to go in a real deep lake area.
They may not pester the minnows too much.
I mean, not too much, but I'm sure they will. We could put perch in there too.
Perch might.
Yeah, they might. They will go after anything that's moving, pretty much.
How about bass?
You could put bass in there, but I think
eat
bass
the
pretty
perch?
much want deeper water.
Do they?
I'm not sure.
How deep is this thing?
Well, it's not real deep.
Puddle?
Bigger than a puddle. Yeah, and smaller than Lake Huron. But yeah. So anyway, it's a
Given
shallow
those
lake. as
parameters,
lakes
I
go.
think we have quite a wide range. Okay.
But there's a dock that goes out there, and they've seen wives, or mothers.
How many acres is this thing anyhow?
Well, there's several different lakes in the area, but
But this one?
This one here, I think, probably about 30 acres, maybe.
30 acres.
Yeah,
That's
they-
pretty good size.
Yeah, but it's shallow. It's a shallow lake. And here's the thing, too. They need to
Hey,
remember
back-
how these perch used to have spots on them?
Oh, God.
Spot of perch. Okay.
That wasn't it.
Well, what they found is what they found to cure this spotting situation that the perch had is by putting barley straw, in the water. And apparently whatever causes these spots for fish eliminates that. Not a virus, but whatever it has, in the science area.
Well, in some cases, and at least in aquariums, you get this condition called ick.
Yeah.
But you said that wasn't the case with these fish, and
I don't think it was
maybe
icky.
barley is the magic mixture. Who knows?
Yep, that'll work. Except
Except if it sits there for too long, barley will ferment,
right.
thereby making the fish a little loopy.
Yeah, a loopy fish. There you go. Well, at
And they
least they
won't care
don't.
whether they got spots or not.
At least they don't jump out of the water like some fish that I saw the other day on television.
Uh-oh. Not
Did you
those
see that?
jumping catfish.
Yeah. Did you see those? Well, they'll jump right into your boat.
Oh, yeah, but where are they?
They're hidden until they
But they're
they
not
see
here.
you coming.
They're not
sneak
here
up
yet,
on
are
you.
they? They're
Well,
not
they're
here
not here
yet.
yet.
Oh, okay.
No, they're trying to stop them from coming here too. Through Lake Michigan.
Did you know that in Asia they don't jump? It's a mutation.
walk?
It's a mutation in the
Okay.
fish. That's the ones we got leap out of the water. Who cares?
They don't like our water. What's wrong with that? I thought we had our water is quite pure. I don't understand why these fish are trying to climb out. Do you?
I don't know.
These aren't very smart fish, all I can say.
They're
you know.
goofy.
Yeah, don't make sense to me. But anyway, so they're going to add some fish, and that's a great idea. They're also going to need trees, and actually there's a tree farm, a private owner that lives in North Imlay City near Shaw Road, and he's across from a place that sells trees and so forth, but he's a farmer, and he has different types of trees, maybe apple trees, maybe other kinds of fruit trees, as well as, the pine and birch and everything they're looking for. And Bruce Pearson said it's really inexpensive. This guy, you got to check it out. And so there's an individual in the audience who said, look, I have a trailer, and if you decide to buy those, I will volunteer the trailer and we'll go and get them.
And that's the magic about the Parks and Rec Committee. They just sit there and go, hey, I've got a trailer.
Yeah, they do. And I'll tell you what, people volunteer all through Addison Township and Leonard. I've never seen anything like it.
They like their
They step
parks.
forward. They do. And if there's a tree down, let me see, we call the tree guy. No, they just get out there with a chainsaw and they do it. Matter of fact, interesting thing, they had a meeting, which we're going to talk about right now, the meeting Leonard of the Village Council. And Shar Sotheby is on that particular
Who's also
commission.
on the OACCC.
She is, and she's a village counselor, and they were talking about the trails and how trees were down during the last storm, and Shar Sotheby was out there actually with a chainsaw, and she was cutting the trees down. So
A sight to
pretty
be
spicy.
seen. A sight to be seen.
Yeah, she's a take action type little gal. She does a great job out there. So let's talk about the Leonard.
She's a nice gal, just don't bother her when she's using a chainsaw.
Right, yeah. Stay away from the chainsaw, folks. But Leonard Village Council, let's talk about that being we switched over and make a nice segue there, huh? Mike McDonald is the chairperson, does a great job with that particular board. And let me see, they covered the minutes, that was bang, wang, done. Treasurer's report was all set for the Parks and Recreation.
Bills paid?
Yeah, well, actually, the accounts payable was $6,744.91, and it was taken out of the general account.
And they never rounded off.
Oh, yeah, no. And the major account that they have under their designation is $3,468.76 was removed from that, and local fund, $134.50. So that money was approved without reservation. They did add the account that was for Parks and Rec. There never was an account in there for that, for accumulation of funds for different projects.
Leonard has
they
its
would
own
have.
Parks and Rec as opposed to Addison Township.
They do.
Do
Yep.
they participate in the Addison Township Parks and Rec Department?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they have a connection there. This is the village council we're talking about now.
Oh, sure.
But
Parks
no,
and
the
Rec are
Parks
Parks
and
and
Rec
Rec.
definitely does. Parks and
overlap
Rec
in a
is
way.
Addison, yeah. Addison Township is a Parks and Rec board.
And Leonard is part of Addison
Is
Township.
part of, how did you know that?
I know my
Look
geography,
how smart
sir.
you've gotten on this show.
I got an A in geography, no.
All right, very good. Oakland County, they said, had a resolution that they wanted the Village of Leonard to adopt, and that's making May Mental Health Month. So they approved that as a doctrine. They have a Proposition 1 coming up, as you know.
A doctrine?
Yeah, this is
A
a
resolution.
This is a resolution for Oakland County.
Churches have doctrines.
No. I'm saying there is a proposition also that was an issue, and that's Proposition 1 that's coming up to vote, coming up on May 5th.
Lovely.
Okay.
Yes.
And as you know, there's a couple of things happening, but they said, how is this going to affect us, this, if it's approved?
If it's not approved?
If it is
nothing.
approved. Right. And actually, Mike McDonald had it well listed, which he had conferred with their treasurer.
Okay.
And he said that it's going to have very little impact, on Leonard in terms of Leonard's roads, as far as their local roads. That it'll have more of an impact on MDOT and so forth. So anyway, he said it will move from having $40,000 per year allocated. In the year 2017, it'll go to 68,000 and above that, in following years. So anyway, not a big impact. He said not a whole lot you can do with that kind of funding, for locals. He felt that probably local people would, take that under consideration too. So that was the Leonard Village Council, and we'll tell you more when we come back when we talk about the Oxford Village Council in just one moment.
That other console.
Hi, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles.
Join Terry and me with the Oxford Weekly News broadcast on our Charter 191 and AT&T Channel 99, Monday through Friday, noon, 6:30, and 11 p.m.
Learn about local news in the Addison Township, Leonard, and Oxford viewing areas. News not usually covered by other stations.
If you don't have Charter or AT&T service, you can still catch our programs on your computer just by going to the website occtv.org and click on Programs. There you will find our programs and many others of local interest.
Watch OCTV where your news is closer to home.
There is a place where the air is pure and water runs sparkling clean. There is a place surrounded by vast meadows and rolling hills. That place is the jewel of Oakland County. It's called Oxford, Michigan.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
I'm Dave Kenny, and he won't let me look at his notes.
No, you won't. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Oxford Village Council now. That was on April 4th. Sue Bassardit is the chairperson or the president of that particular council. Helmuth and Kennis were excused, where they weren't available. Bima, Cloutier, and Bassardit made up a forum. So, first item that they talked about was Mike Niemanowski took the floor, and he
He's
awarded
the chief of police.
Chief of police. Chief. He was a chief guy. Anyway, so he had a couple of safety awards that he was going to hand out. Actually, one in particular was a traffic award from the Telecommunications 911 from the state of Michigan, and talked about Sean Brown, who's a part-time police officer with the village. Mike Sowell was there as well, sergeant, when this award was presented. But he has done a great job, this Sean Brown has
He was
on traffic
dispatch?
control.
Oh, traffic
He's in
control.
traffic,
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
And everybody knows that Mike Sowell has been involved with the watchman, Mr. Gould, that was killed in 1925.
A watchman.
Yeah, he was a watchman for the village, and he was killed on the corner of,
Did we have watchmen?
we did back in those days, and he was kind of a commissioner, a police commissioner at that time,
He was a,
and he was killed, murdered on the corner of Washington Street and Burdick Street.
that's out in the
Back in
open.
1925, but it was late at night, and they suspect that it was a bank robbery that was about to happen, and he questioned the people in the vehicle, and they killed him. They found the vehicle later, located in another area. I'm not sure, but Metamora or somewhere along that line. But anyway, he has never been recognized, for his services, and Mike Sowald has been very aggressive in leading the charge to get
Good
a
for him.
monument.
Good for
Right.
him.
So they're going to put a monument actually on that corner, recognizing him. And then he's also going to have a tribute given to him at his grave.
A monument being like a plaque on a building?
No, this
or
is going to be a regular monument.
on.
It's on the corner, placed there, almost like a tombstone type thing on that corner.
Oh,
Yep. If you want to know more, check into the Oxford Leader. There are actually pictures and everything and the whole story out there. But anyway, I kind of got sidetracked. Let's go on further. DDA position on the board is open, and a gentleman by the name of Gino Malaya, who's the Oxford Bank, worked for the bank for 26 years, was appointed.
Malia.
Malia, you know the name. Very good. Thank you for the correction. Stephen Nails, I think it is, and again, I may have murdered that, and you probably don't know who he is, so is going to take a seat on the Planning Commission. It was approved. There was a seat available. He's been a resident in the area for 5 years. He's a software design specialist and engineer.
So he's going to be taking the place of, was it Marilyn Benner?
Marilyn Benner, I believe.
Okay.
Yep. Public, Adam Johnson, filed a complaint that he felt that his street was a little noisy because of trucks and so forth, and I think that's kind of a spin-off from what happened to Burdick Street and how that was approved.
What street does he live on?
He lives on, I think, a South Happy Street.
South what?
Happy? I think it is.
Happy?
Close
There's
enough.
We have a Happy Street?
I think we do. And if not, we've just said a rumor. We have a new street.
But he wasn't happy about the noise.
Wasn't happy about that. So anyway, so you just want to make a record of it. One of the major issues that came up was that about the trash agreement. And the trash agreement,
Is it Rizzi has the
Rizzo.
current Rizzo
It's
has the
Rizzo.
current contract?
5-year, and they're trying for another 5-year contract. And at this point, they're saying 3 years is what they will do with control for the next 2 years if we decide to do it. But there's other couple of companies that are interested, and one of the major ones is Odd Jobs. And they're a local company residing right here in Oxford, pay taxes and so forth.
They were in the bidding for the last contract,
Yes,
weren't they?
they were, and they lost that particular bid. And actually, had a lot of people stand up and speak for Odd Jobs. Bill Dunn stood up, the supervisor of the township, and I thought very, very strongly put the point that They've used Odd Jobs, and they've been a professional company and has nothing but great service. Greg Carter, another resident, stood up and he said the same thing. Bob Scott, who served on the Zoning Board of Appeals, also spoke in behalf. He said one time, he said he can recall trying to hustle to get his trash out, and he said he was running behind, and they actually waited and helped him go to his garage and take the trash out and put it in. He said that's the type of service that he's experienced from Odd Jobs. Joe Young, however, says that he pretty much got the feeling that he supports Rizzo, for this. And the difference is because of the cost involvement. Rizzo, over the year, is roughly $8,700 savings. Now, actually, both companies and their bids have come down in their pricing, and Odd Jobs have gone down 90 cents over what new residents would be paying last year for the village, whereas it would be $1.50 down for Rizzo.
So these were in sealed bids?
These were sealed bids, yes. And they were all reviewed and out in the open for the public to see. BEMA believe very strongly that it should be local, that they pay taxes and so forth, and they volunteer things, to the community. Cloutier also felt the same way, but when the smoke cleared and everything was said, they said, well, we only have 3 members here today. We want a full council to be here when we make the decision for this. In the meantime...
So they tabled it?
No,
No?
one more thing.
They didn't?
No, actually...
They made a decision.
Bonnie Staley stood up and she says, I don't know if you guys want to know this, but in Rochester, they decided not to go with Rizzo and went with a little more expensive company, and Rizzo turned around and they sued Rochester.
Why?
Good question. So, Bob, no answer. Anyway, the attorney for Oxford, Bob, you know his last name? Come on. No. Gotcha. Okay.
You got me.
All right, we're gonna leave it at that. I got him finally. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. So anyway,
Bob Davis.
Bob, you got it. I was just
My
going to tell
Rolodex was a little slow.
Bob Davis said, "Well, give me an opportunity to check into it and see exactly what this is all about." But anyway, the bit of fear went into the village council. Then they said, "Well, we're not going to make any decisions tonight. Let's get all the members back, all the council members. Give Mr. Davis a chance to research this a little bit more in terms of legalities,
Right.
and go from there." I don't see how that'd be a problem, though, because they do have a point system that actually encourages local business.
Are they truly local now?
They are not Rizzo, but
I thought Odd Job moved to Waterford somewhere.
no, Odd Job handles only strictly
Okay.
Oakland.
But it's not only
Oxford.
it's not only the price of the contract; it's the anticipated quality of service. So you have to make those
Yep.
decisions.
And the lowest price isn't always the best thing. And there isn't that much difference between the two, and it's still lower than what paid before. So you have to ask yourself.
I always
if you're-
remember that cartoon where the 3 astronauts are being launched into space, and they're going. Doesn't it give you a great sense of comfort to feel that this thing was made by the lowest bidder?
Yes. Sometimes that's a good thing, but you really have to weigh all the circumstances here. But anyway, so a lot of people spoke up, on behalf of Odd Jobs. So we'll have to see what happens there. I'm sure something's going to happen. Hopefully, in the best interest of the local people is my consideration. I'm only one voice out there.
And that's the ultimate responsibility of the council. What's good for the people of Oxford.
It is. By the way, what's coming up?
What's coming up? Well, we do have some meetings. On 4/21 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission, with the new member, by the way.
Yes.
And on 4/22 at 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education, and they'll be meeting at the Oxford Middle School this time. And on 4/23 at 7 o'clock, Oxford Township Planning Commission. And on 4/27, the Oxford Area Cable Communications Commission will meet, our parent company, so to speak, at 4 o'clock. And this time they'll be meeting at the Addison Township offices. This will be the last time they meet at Addison Township, and next time they'll move somewhere else.
It's hard to hit a moving target.
That's
Is that
right.
That's the way it works. Okay, well, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
We'll catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.